What's going on, guys? Ben from JK Gear and Gadgets. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. In this episode, we are working on the Gladiator, getting a little bit more ready for some off-road action. If you've been watching the channel, you've known that I took the JK out west for the Power Stop Trail to SEMA. It did amazing. We did so much awesome wheeling, but now that we're home, it's time to upgrade a little bit on the Gladiator. Now, what are we doing? We're getting rid of this plastic bumper and we're adding a winch. So honestly, in my mind, after you add lift and tires, you do a little bit of suspension stuff. If you plan on wheeling, adding a winch is one of the biggest things you could do to really help out the performance of the Jeep. It's not really gonna help you perform, but if you're going off-road, you're bound to get stuck eventually. And having a winch is one thing that honestly I think you need to have. So we are adding a winch, and of course to add a winch we have to get rid of this plastic bumper. Oh man, today is going to be a hard day to film. Lots of wind. A couple weeks ago I was out in sunny California, nice weather. Now we're back here in Virginia and I have the elements working against me. But let's go ahead and see what I went with. What do you guys think? Went with the 7-slot Customs Pritchett Canyon series. This is the direct bolt-on bumper. It's very similar to the frame chop I have on the JK. I really like the look, and honestly, I think this is gonna look even better on the Gladiator. It's pretty lightweight for a heavy-duty steel bumper, and I did get the optional skid plate. 7-slot Customs is a sponsor of the channel, so anytime, any place on 7slotcustoms.com, you can get 10% off using the code JKGear. This bumper does come raw. No paint, no powder coat. You can choose whatever you want to do with it. As you can tell, I went with Steel It Gray. A big fan of that type of paint, and it works pretty good. And I think it's going to actually look pretty good on the truck. The truck's silver. It's a little bit of an off tone. This is the same color I had on my previous wheels, and the contrast between the colors looked really good. So I'm hoping this turns out all right on the front of the truck. Now, what winch did we go with? This is the new, well, it was new when I got it. It's been out for a while now. This is the Warn VR Evo series. It's still a Warn, still very high quality, but honestly, it is a little, oh, there we go, there's the wind again. It's a little more cheaply made compared to their high-end series. I've been running the Warn Zeon 10S on the JK. It's been perfect, no issues at all. They're more of like their budget-friendly winch. They used to have the VR series, and now this is the new VR Evo series. A little higher quality than their old VR series. The VR series is made in China. So, it's still up to the Warn standards, but it's made just a little bit cheaper, a little more budget-friendly. But I did go with the 12S because this truck is gonna get heavy once we start adding aftermarket stuff to it. It's already a pretty heavy truck. It's probably what, I actually need to look it up. I'll put the weight right down here. And once we start adding to that, a 10,000 pound winch, in my opinion, is not gonna be enough. So we went with the 12,000 pound synthetic. I'm excited to see how this works, see what it looks like. I mean, it looks very similar to the Warn Zeon. Overall, this is almost, I wouldn't say it's a budget friendly option. These are like on the higher end of the cheaper budget. So the bumper itself is $381. It's on sale now, plus an extra 10% off is great. This optional skid plate was like $180 plus 10% off. And the Warn VR Evo, this one, the 12,000 synthetic, was $850. You can get the 10,000, for JK or JL owners, that'd be more than enough. And I think that's $750, and it goes even cheaper if you get the steel. But personally, I definitely recommend synthetic line. It's gonna last a lot longer, and there's just so many other pros and cons to it. So first things first, before we do any of that, we have to get this stock crappy plastic bumper off. It does look all right, from the factory, but once we get wheeling, we want a better approach angle on the tires so we can put a rock right there. We need a stubby, we need a little more ground clearance coming up, and honestly, we need the better front end protection and a place to mount the winch. So let's go ahead and get this bumper off. Now that we have the factory skid plate off, you can tell it's pretty cheesy, pretty thin. It's really not gonna help save too much stuff under there, but that's pretty easy to remove. If you have a Sport, it might be plastic. There's different ways, different mounting options for the Sport versus Rubicon. It's pretty easy to take off. Now, if you've never taken off a front bumper on a Jeep Wrangler before, or a Jeep Gladiator, same thing, super simple. There's 4 bolts behind the bumper. Actually, they're nuts. 1, 2, 3, and 4 attached to the frame horns on both sides. We're gonna get under the bumper and take those 4 off. It's an 18mm socket. You're gonna need a deep well socket and maybe a little swivel or an extension. We're also gonna have to remove the bolts that are right here. It holds a bracket that holds to the bumper. So we're gonna take all 10 of those bolts off and yank the bumper off. We're gonna finish up by removing all the old brackets on the frame. We're now just gonna put the bumper right onto the frame. Take the 8 nuts and washers that were provided in the kit and loosely start the bumper bolts. With the bumper installed on the frame, we are now going to install this bumper tie-in plate. What this does is attach this winch plate to the frame at a separate location to make it a little bit stronger. All right, what do you guys think so far? Gray was an amazing choice. I really like how this looks, and it's gonna look even better with a winch in it. So we have the 4 frame horn nuts, just hand tight on both sides. These tie-in plates, hand tight. Our next step is to grab the winch and start getting that hand tight. As you can tell, the install is super simple. I don't want this video to be step by step because it comes with instructions. Very easy to install, no cutting, no grinding, nothing. But so far the bumper seems pretty strong, especially with those tie-in plates. A lot of bumpers don't include stuff like that, but it is very important to do that because you got to think, if the bumper is only secured in the front and our winch is mounted here, whenever we're pulling, this plate right here is gonna wanna lift up. So with these tie-in brackets, it makes it plenty strong. So let's go open up the winch box, see what it comes with, and check it out to get it installed on the bumper. All right. So far, I'm impressed. This winch is actually a lot lighter than I thought it was gonna be. Right here on the shipping label, it says 67 pounds, which is extremely lightweight for a 12,000 pound winch. I can pick this up no issue. And the great thing is we don't have to worry about a ton of weight sitting on our front end. Adding this bumper and winch combo, I think we're probably gonna only add about 150 pounds, which is great, especially since there's some bumpers on the market that alone weigh 150 pounds, even without a winch. So let's open this up and see what it comes with. So here we are, the Warn VR Evo 12S. Everything looks pretty nice out of the box. There is one thing that's a little bit weird. The ground cable comes unattached. So I'm not sure what the reason it is, but before we mount this winch on the bumper, I wanna go ahead and hook this up. We can do that just by loosening this little ground nut right here and attaching one of the terminals to it. It's a 13 millimeter. We're definitely gonna wanna make sure we hook that up before we put it on the bumper and don't have any access to get to that. It's really nice that the synthetic line is already attached to the drum, so we don't have to worry about that. We just bolt this down and go. There is one thing that I find a little bit cheesy. So we have a nice black powder coated fair lead right here and some ugly galvanized bolts right here. They are the metric 8.8, so they are, pretty strong, but I have a feeling these are gonna corrode pretty quick. So what we'll do in the future is, change them out for some nice powder coated bolts, especially since it's gonna be right there in the front of the bumper. Warn does include just a standard hook, and I am gonna change that out, have a box sitting in the garage for that. We'll do that in a minute. Now there's one thing I really do like about this winch. We have the option for a wireless controller, or we can hook up our cable and control it that way. We control it by this little button right here in the middle, toggles between wireless and wired. The only bad thing about this is that this is operated via a battery, a 3.6 volt battery. Sure, you could carry an extra one in your Jeep, or just have this cable in your Jeep. So it's always a great idea not only to rely on a wireless controller, but also have the wired controller in case you're stuck and this wireless system starts messing up. A lot of winches on the market are moving towards this wireless technology, and it is great because you can stand way back over here and winch, or you can hop in the driver's seat and winch and don't have to worry about running that cable out of the way. But definitely make sure you at least carry that cable with you in case the battery or something with the wireless system messes up. So that's enough talking. Don't know how it's gonna perform until we get this on the Jeep and test it out. Our next step is to actually drop this in the bumper, get those 4 bottom bolts started, and then hook up our fair lead. Let's do it. With the bumper and winch all bolted up and complete, it's time to route and attach our power wires for the winch. This is a part where a lot of people have questions, whether it's their first winch install or their first install on a certain model. It's pretty simple, and it's really, there's not much to it. We're gonna attach the red to the power and the black to the ground. Let's show you how. So our goal is to route both of these cables up here to our battery with it looking extremely clean. We don't want wires everywhere, and we don't want them in locations where it can damage the wire. So the easiest way to do it is to pull out this little plastic inner fender liner flap, and we're gonna route it up in through there. Let me try to show you. We are gonna snake it right up in there. At the end, we'll tuck the wires back and put this plastic inner fender liner back. We're gonna come up here and see where it's coming. See right there? Hello. We're actually gonna go behind, back in here to pull it up through. We're gonna do the exact same thing with our negative wire. We're now gonna slide it under our air filter, underneath this little tab over here, right over there to the battery. I went ahead and put our power wire around the battery. It's gonna hook up right there to that terminal. And our negative is also gonna kind of wrap up the excess in here and connect to our negative bus bar. There's a few places you do not wanna mount these winch power wires. One is the actual nuts or bolts that tighten down these battery terminals. So right here, we don't want to use that. What we do want to use is a terminal like this that's actually made for a ground wire or any type of wire to be attached to it. As you can tell, there's plenty of threads on there. We'll tap right into there. Now on our power wire, once again, we are not going to use this one. And there's actually a nut right here that is completely unused. So we'll use that one. Always connect your negative first. You don't want to have power going to this wire and then accidentally touch ground with this. You'll cause some sparks. And that's how you do a nice, clean winch wiring install. And finally, it's time to attach our winch hook. Every kit comes with your standard winch hook. I decided on this to go ahead and get the Epic hook. I think this is gonna look a lot better on the Jeep. It's a better color, and honestly, it's a little bit better built than the standard winch hooks. So yesterday we got the bumper on and the winch installed. Let's go ahead and check it out. Cassie, what do you think of it?
It's way too cold to be doing this.
It is extreme. It's even worse out today, but it looks so good. Check it out, guys. Oh yeah. Looks really good. I really like how the skid plate looks on there too. You don't have to add that, but I think it kind of finishes it off. And of course, if the Jeep is lifted, it's gonna look a lot better because it looks good now, but once the Jeep has a lift kit on it, it's gonna look really good. So it almost adds like a Baja or pre-runner style to it. I don't know how to really explain it, but it looks really, really good. The winch ties in there perfectly. The winch actually fits very, very snug. It is like all the way up against the grill, all the way up here along the bumper. It is a tight fit, so it fits perfectly. The bumper is designed to work around Warn Zeon, which is a bigger winch. So maybe this winch and the Zeon is only, the difference is only like width-wise. I don't know, but it definitely looks really good. But we are not done yet. There is one thing we need to do before we call this good, and that is to preload your winch line. What that means is right now, the cable or synthetic line, whatever you're running, is loose. It's not tight. If I was to pull this line halfway out and start winching, it's gonna tighten down on top of the loose cable or synthetic line. It's not gonna be good. It's gonna damage your cable, it's gonna damage your line, and it can possibly slip for a while until it grabs. So we are gonna show you how to preload it. Cassie's gonna show us how. We're gonna put our winch in free spool, pull some of the line out, unhook it, and then she's gonna pull this all the way to a secure spot. You can do this to a tree, you can do it to a Jeep. Preferably you would do it uphill. My driveway's not long enough. What I'm gonna do is probably sit inside the Jeep or just put it in neutral and just have it pull it. Any type of tension is better than no tension at all, especially since we found out that the Jeep is close to a little over 5,000 pounds. All right, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We got 9 wraps on the drum right now. That's gonna be good. We'll call that good. we have a little bit of tension on this winch line, so it's time to just go ahead and pull the Jeep from there all the way over there. Now what we want to do is have some person here making sure the winch line's doubling back and forth properly. So I guess Cassie, if you want to hop in the Jeep and just put it in neutral and just let it go. I wonder if it freaking JL and JT. So auto park, if the door's open when you shift, it won't move. Let's see what happens actually. I can't tell, is it?
It's resisting.
It's resisting, so it auto shifted back to park, which means you're gonna have to stay in there the whole time. Oh, this is super lame, I know, but we gotta test it somehow. We are gonna be taking up the mighty ditch of doom, dun dun dun. So put her in a nice tight spot. Let's see, yeah. Go slow, a little bit, driver. There you go. Oh, nice and stiff. I'm just curious to see how far we'll actually make it up this. All right, so just try to go until it starts slipping, just nice and slow. All right, start turning passenger. Keep, yeah, just nice and slow. Keep going, just stay steady. Nice and slow, keep going. Oh, the bed's gonna bob. All right, turn a little bit, driver. Oh, a little bit, yeah, just, there we go. Nice and slow. Nice and slow, a little bit, driver. Oh, the tire's all the way off the ground. Yes, we are definitely gonna need the winch. All right, a little bit, driver. All right. Oh, she's gonna kill me. I think this is good. Okay, so we're gonna have to show the winch. So, oh, is it going? It's gonna go up it. Nice. Oh, all right, perfect. Perfect, we gotta get the winch. Oh my gosh. That's bad. Okay, so we're gonna pretend we're stuck, which we are. Front locker's not on. We can probably spin out of it, but let's see how the winch works. Ugh. All right, we are stuck. It's time to winch. Got the wireless remote on.
I do now.
Cool. Give it a little bump, see what happens. All right, stop. I just want to make sure that tree's good. All right, let off the brake and just, yeah, no gas either. Let's see what the winch got. Yep. Yeah, keep it turned. There we go. Seems like a nice steady pull. Yeah, definitely stay passenger. All right, let off the winch. I think we're good. It's definitely pulling us sideways. Oh, we're gonna flip our Gladiator in the lot. Oh, we're good. So that was definitely nothing crazy, but
I felt pretty crazy.
you're gonna be so mad about the yard.
What happened to the yard?
You go ahead and stop.
What happened to the yard?
You don't really want to see it.
Sliding. Did! Oh my god!
No, you did it. You're the one driving.
Did it rain here?
Huh?
Has it rained the past few days?
No, the departure angle on the Gladiator is just really bad. It was like a shovel. It's like in the ditch. I will just, it'll fill in. Don't worry about it.
You know what I get? You know what I
did
get
it.
for this?
Huh.
I get new pair of Crocs.
There you go. I'll accept that.
I went for fair.
All right, guys. So we will be off-road testing the Gladiator with the 37s, with the winch, with the bumper, and soon after we do that, we'll add a lift kit, test it out again, and keep on going, keep on testing it. But I will say I'm very satisfied with this setup.
I'm sorry, no more yard ditches.
Yes, we're gonna continue testing in the ditches, but definitely seems like a good winch so far. We will tell when we're actually off-road and we are really stuck. And as for the bumper, not only did we gain access to mounting a winch, a lot of structural integrity. It looks amazing. So like always, guys, thanks for watching. Please smash the thumbs up button. If you have any questions about anything we did in this video, let me know in the comments, and pray for me because I'll be doing yard work for the next few days. See you guys.
See ya.
Peace.
like the off color.
It's perfect.
Like it's almost like more of like a gunmetal gray.
Yeah.
Feel it. It's like a I don't know. I think it's just a different.
Oh, and I forgot to mention. So this bumper, it does get rid of your fog lights. You can't mount your factory fog lights there, which is kind of a bummer, but we have 3 mounting locations for aftermarket lights, and we are going to be adding a sweet set of lights probably the first of the year, because they're a little bit expensive, but they are going to be very nice and super bright. But that is one little downside to this bumper. Now you can mount little tiny LEDs in there, like the little 2 inchers. You have to measure for yourself, but you would just drill and mount them from that top part of the bumper, and you could mount them under there, tap them into your fog light circuit. I don't know, we might do that eventually. But now, see you later. Peace.
Bye.
I forgot to mention the fog light. That's important.
So I didn't realize like how like different gray this looked compared to like.
Yeah, it's the same we had on the wheels before.
It is, but I've never seen it compared to another silver. Like I've never put it up silver to silver before.
It looks
like,
good. It looks good. We need to lift it so we can actually see it like that. You know, we need.
When are we lifting it, Ben?
I don't know.
When are you gonna?
We have to test it off. We have to test it with 37s first.
Well, when are we testing it with 37s?
Let's go.
I'll call in sick tomorrow.
I still gotta work, so.
I can go test it with 37s.
Where should we go, guys? Back to Uwari?
Uwari!
Where we've been testing it. I feel like that's the only fair spot to do it because we tested it there stock, we tested it there with 35s. So naturally, I feel like we should test it there with 37s, but Roush Creek sounds like a lot more fun.
We can do Roush after.
After the lift kit. Once we have the lift kit, we'll test this thing out at Roush Creek. All right, peace.